Good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency. To my left is Council Member Tom Beckius. To my right is University of Nebraska Regent Tim Clare. And this is a public meeting subject to the Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is posted in the back of the chambers. For this meeting, Casey will be calling each item, after which staff will come forward and present. Following that, we'd be happy to take public comment, and we'd ask that if you do intend to testify on an item, you limit your comments to 5 minutes. And with that, I'd ask Casey to please call the first item.
Approval of the minutes from the JPA meeting held April 27th, 2023.
Second.
Moved by Claire, seconded by Beckius. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. The next item is approval of the minutes from the JPA meeting, the JPA special meeting held June 7th, 2023.
So moved.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Please call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. The next item is approval of the payment register for April through July 2023 and review of the expenditure report as of July 31st, 2023.
Good afternoon, board members. Lynn Heaton, West Haymarket JPA Treasurer and City Finance Director. Just want to cover, in your packet, you have the payment register and expenditure report. I just want to cover some highlights from those two documents, and then I'd be glad to answer any questions. The following are highlights from the April through July 2023 period. As is normal, we do have semi-annual JPA bond interest payments. That was $6.8 million. We did pay to the City of Lincoln pursuant to the JPA budget $98,372 for city staff costs to support the JPA. $558,786 to City of Lincoln parking services for the March through May 2023 time period for JPA parking garage management. This compares to the collection of $737,000 in parking revenues during that same time period. We did pay to the District Energy Corporation a little over $1 million for the March through June 2023 period. $767,658 of that was then collected from customers, so that equates to about 75.1%. To the arena for management and operations of the arena, $557,788. This is for things such as $95,434 for the usual, very typical arena repair, annual maintenance fees, and minor equipment purchases, and that's through the March through June 2023 period. There was $62,353 to the arena for an LED display board, which was pursuant to the board's previous action approving that purchase. And then finally, to the arena, $250,000 for fourth quarter fiscal year 23 sponsorships, which is paid pursuant to the agreement with Learfield for marketing and promotional. And then finally, $150,000 for the fourth quarter of FY23 for the annual operating increment. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Heaton. Any questions?
No.
All right, seeing none, thank you.
Thank you very much.
At this time, we would take any public comment on the payment registers. All right, seeing no one coming forward, I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
Moved by Claire, seconded by Beckius. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next item is bill number WH23-18, resolution to approve the proposed operating budget and capital improvement program for the West Haymarket JPA for September 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2024.
Hello once again. I'll just keep it rolling. I wanted to use a couple of visual aids, if I may. Oh, are they not turned on? There we are. There we are. Okay, so we'll just cover revenues first in the FY24 proposed budget. So this is a pie graph representing the essentially the major categories of revenues, and I'll just cover those. Overall, the revenues are up. The budgeted revenues, as proposed here, are up 6.2% compared to the FY23 budgeted revenues. So obviously the main category there is occupation taxes, as you see with the chart. We are budgeting for a 2% increase over what we are projecting we will conclude this fiscal year on. So that's the total of $22.1 million. Intergovernmental revenue is the amount we receive from the IRS for the Build America bonds, the interest subsidy that is pursuant to that, and so that's budgeted almost $3.5 million. Rental income is from the arena premium seat revenues for the most part, and that total is $2.9 million. The arena premium seat revenues, based on the new contracted amounts that were approved by the board, are almost 2.4 million of that total. The remainder is Amtrak station facility rental and rental revenue from the arena itself. Revenues from the DEC for those customer reimbursements are budgeted at $2.3 million. And that is pursuant to an estimate and based on the rates that are provided to us by LES or at the DEC. Parking revenues are budgeted at $3.3 million, and this is based on an estimate from City of Lincoln Parking Services. This is a 2% increase over the projected current fiscal year total. And then finally, miscellaneous revenues are budgeted at a little over $1 million, and this represents the sponsorship revenue payments that we receive under the contract with IMG or Learfield. And so the total revenues budgeted are $35,847,059. Moving to, are there any questions on the revenue side?
I have a question, Director.
Yes.
The 2% growth in parking revenues,
Yes.
how confident are we in that, given sort of falling under, some of the city garages underperformed
Sure.
expectations?
Well, it is a 2% increase over what is estimated for the current fiscal year. So I'd have to look further, Mayor, to look and see how that compares to pre-pandemic, if you will.
Gotcha.
But this is over, and it's based on conversations we've had with parking services itself.
And is the current year budget performing to expectation when it comes to revenue from the parking?
Yeah, let me take a look there.
I hope it is, just to be clear.
Just looking on track. In fact, yes, actually, it looks like we're estimating we'll conclude the year over the
Okay.
budgeted amount by about $170 million, or excuse me, $1,000.
great.
That would be wonderful. You'll just have to retract that, please,
Okay.
and strike it from the record,
Okay.
Casey. 170,000.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, any other questions on the revenue side?
No.
Steve?
Okay. On the expense side, overall, the budget that is proposed to you here today would be down 1.4% compared to the budget that you adopted for FY23. And the highlights on the expense side, miscellaneous contractual services are budgeted at $929,509, and this includes $351,000 to purchase Husker basketball tickets for the suites and loge holders that we have contracts with. $50,000 for project management with project control, and then the remainder, $411,000, is for city staff pursuant to those estimates. Parking deck management services, again with parking services, is budgeted at a little over $2 million, $2,055,000 to be more exact. And this is based on budgeted figures that were provided by City Parking Services over at Urban Development. Thermal heating and cooling, which is the DEC charges, we estimate that those expenses will be $3.1 million, but as I said, $2.3 million of that will be collected, is estimated to be collected back from those customers. Other building maintenance is budgeted at $747,724. This includes $416,800 for PBA annual or maintenance agreements, $115,620 for PBA annual inspections and other maintenance, just typical annual inspections and maintenance, $200,000 for miscellaneous repairs, and then a small amount, $15,000, a little over $15,000 for Amtrak station janitorial service and repairs. We do have budgeted, if you're following along, $1.5 million for the youth, Lincoln Youth Complex per that agreement and the board's approval of those contributions. This is the second of the 3 payments. On the capital outlay side, for equipment at the arena, that's budgeted at $1.6 million. This includes a number of highlighted items, $480,000 for IPTV replacement, $180,000 for an annual technology replacement budget, $160,000 for replacement of operational equipment, and that is an annual budgeted as well. $150,000 for a new basketball floor, so this would be on the CIP, the project side of things. And then the other highlighted item is $125,000 for lighting controller upgrade. Those are all the equipment inside of the building capital outlay expenses. Building capital improvements, as proposed in this budget, are at $1.37 million. Highlights there, corner scoreboards, $400,000. And this is from Project Control, our partners at Project Control. We do have budgeted arena ramp and elevated plaza concrete repairs for $250,000. And then finally, back to internal to the arena, main concourse lighting upgrade, which would be LED lighting upgrades at $250,000. And then finally, some grounds improvement items. Total is budgeted at $849,600. So we do have, in working with urban development, there is a Block 4 streetscape. Now that Block 4 is completed, a project we're working on there. With urban development, $475,000 for the Canopy Park redevelopment agreement, or pursuant to the Canopy Park redevelopment agreement. Underneath the Harris underpass, or the overpass rather, there is the final parking pavement project in that space, again from Project Control, estimated and budgeted at $350,000. And finally, the canopy renovation project is budgeted at $150,000. And that concludes the CIP and capital improvement, capital outlay items. And just concluding on the expense side, debt service payments are budgeted at $23,427,727, and that is per our debt service schedules, which are well-known and planned for long in advance. So, of course, as I mentioned earlier on the revenues, the IRS interest subsidies do offset that to the tune of about $3.5 million. So total expenditures budgeted for the fiscal year 24 are $38,331,332. As I mentioned, that's down 1.4% compared to the prior year. And I'm sorry, I wasn't changing my... I do want to share, this is the expenditures if you'd like to quickly look at that, but I do want to share one more slide. And that's just to show that, a couple more slides. So this is a slide I've shown the board a number of times in the past. This is occupation tax revenues. The gray line is actuals. Through 23, what we've shown there for 23 is what we estimate those revenues will be. And as you can see, occupation tax revenues are performing very, very well. In fact, we are now, for 23, we believe we will conclude FY23 the equivalent of the original projection for the year 2037. And so they've been very strong and recovered very nicely following the pandemic. We believe, we estimate with just one more month left that we will conclude the year up a little over 10% compared to last year on occupation tax revenues. So it's performing very strongly. And just to supplement that, I will show the projected cash balances. And so as you see, we have actuals through 2022 and beginning with 2023, while we still have 1 month left. You can see that the blue bar continues to be well above, I would argue, what is expected of us in terms of a reserved cash for our bonds. And things look very good moving forward. So we just want to share that as well and be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do have one quick question. And Lynn, perhaps this is better for project control. The $250,000 that you referenced regarding the concrete repair for the ramp, is that a placeholder at this point in time, or is that a true number that we feel like was determined from the study that we had?
Caleb Swanson with Project Control. Right now, that is mostly a placeholder.
Okay.
We're kind of in the process right now. The board, you're correct, had approved that agreement with DLR to do that study. Yep. They just actually this week gave a draft copy of it to us. So we're kind of in the progress of going through that.
No, I was going to be amazed if you already knew a number. So
we don't have a firm number yet. No,
Okay.
that's a placeholder. We should be able to start kind of honing in on that true number here over the next couple of months as we work through that draft set of recommendations and start bringing stuff to the board probably either end of this year or early next would be our expectation.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
That ramp expense, though, will that be paid by our endowment?
It's going to depend on what we do there, Tim. There are the kind of the descriptions in the fund statement that talk about exactly what can and can't be spent. Our intent, both with the ramp project, with the Under Harris overpass project, as well as the canopy project, anything that will be eligible for endowment funds, and we believe especially with that canopy project, a majority, if not all of that, should be eligible. That we'll have plenty of uses for the available funds that are currently sitting in the endowment. Yes. Yep. That's our intent.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
I want to, congratulations. I mean, this is really.
Thank you, sir.
The fact that I've said this before, the fact that we've gotten through COVID and are in the position we are in, and investing $4.5 million into the baseball complex is really outstanding. And remember, this is paid for by the occupation tax. The occupation tax is collected from restaurants, bars, hotels, and rental cars.
Correct.
And if we can attract people to the city with respect to the baseball complex, that will just attract more, it'll create more revenue in our restaurants and hotels and bars. So this is a big deal, and I'm really excited and really happy for the fact of the management of the finances and as I've said before, there are 1,000 communities throughout the country that would change places with us in a minute because our arena is on solid financial footing.
Yeah, well, thank you, sir. We're really proud of the arena, and there's a number of expenses we know that will come up. It is a 10-year-old arena. We're celebrating that this year, but we've planned for those prudently, and we've got those in our long-term cash flows, and so we look forward to continuing to work with you and the other board members. Thank you, sir.
Comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'd take any public comment on item 6. And seeing no one coming forward, I'd entertain a motion on Item 6.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Any further discussion? Okay,
No, ma'am.
please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Bill number WH 23-19, resolution to approve an amendment to memorandum of understanding between the West Haymarket JPA and Project Control of Texas for construction management services for a term of September 1, 2023 through August 31st, 2024, with costs not to exceed $50,000.
Good afternoon. Chris Connolly, City Law Department. Very pleased to bring this resolution up. Project Control's done a wonderful job for us over many years, and they continue to do so. And really enjoy the service they've done, not just for the JPA, but the city as well. And so we would be very happy to get this approved. Caleb can explain what minor changes are occurring in the agreement.
Just thank you again. Want to thank the board on behalf of Project Control for the opportunity to work for the JPA another year. We really appreciate that relationship and all the things that we've been able to accomplish together. That's
assuming if we approve this.
that is a wild assumption on my
Assumptive
part.
on your part.
Yes, I agree. Forgive me for that. But the agreement is, as Chris said, it's an addendum to the existing agreement that we have, 1-year extension. The lid on the total expenditures is the same as it was last year. Many of the projects that were outlined earlier will be what we are overseeing and managing on behalf of the board. Really, the only change is a slight increase to the hourly rate to reflect cost of living in the region. So. Happy to take any questions on more detail on what we're doing or plan to be doing for the coming year.
I just thank you because you guys have done a fantastic job. You're always there. You're always here at meetings. You answer questions. You get back to people. You participate in the prep meetings. You've been a tremendous partner all the way through. And
Appreciate
so
that
thank you very
much.
much.
Thank you.
I was just kidding about being presumptuous.
Tim presents a tough front. I don't know.
Thank you, Tim, very much. Appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, would anyone like to comment on item 7? Seeing no one coming forward, entertain a motion on item 7.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Claire, seconded by Beckius. Any further discussion? Just add on our gratitude for your assistance and dedication to the success of this project. You've been a wonderful partner to the city and university. Thank you. All right, please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next item is bill number WH 23-20, resolution to prohibit possession or cause to be present a weapon on West Haymarket JPA property.
With the passage of LB 77 by the legislature, we felt like it was appropriate to look at some policy or process for banning weapons particularly within Pinnacle Bank Arena, but really for all JPA property. And so what you have before you today is a resolution that establishes this policy, and it is modeled off of the policy that was just recently adopted by the Public Building Commission. So we've tried to stay very close with that. And essentially, there's a definition of weapons, when they can be possessed, and when they can't be. And generally speaking, certainly in Pinnacle Bank Arena, they can't be possessed. And if they are, then that would be deemed trespassing and then subject to criminal penalties from there. So having said that, and with an introduction, it would become effective on September 1st, which is when LB 77 becomes effective. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer.
Chris, I just want to take a quick moment, not a question, but thank you for the extra information regarding this particular resolution and how it fits into other university facilities and the prohibitions that they have there to make sure that we're in line with not only the city, but also our university partners as well. So thank you for that extra
You're
work.
welcome.
I appreciate it.
You bet.
Any further discussion? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. Would anyone like to come forward and testify on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion on item 8.
Move approval?
Second.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Any further discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried, 3-0. The next item is bill number WH 23-21, resolution to approve a letter agreement between the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency and the University of Nebraska to extend the license term of the lease and operating agreement for an additional 5 years through June 30th, 2028 for the assignment of certain rights to 3 UNL suites to the JPA.
Okay, so the university controls, if you will, 4 suites within Pinnacle Bank Arena. They use one for themselves, and there's 3 that historically, since 2013, the JPA has been authorized to sell on their behalf. And so we sell them. 88% of the proceeds goes to the university, 12% stays with the JPA. And so there was a renewal in 2018. There was supposed to be a renewal discussion earlier this year when, as we got close to the end of their fiscal year, we started to see that they had not renewed it. We had some discussions with them. And so what we've ended up with is another extension of, as set forth in the letter agreement that's there, to extend this another 5 years. And so if there are any questions regarding this arrangement with the university or this extension in and of itself, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Seeing none, entertain a motion on item 9.
Move approval?
Second. There's no
Move-
problem with me voting on this, is there?
Okay.
Yep.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Any further discussion? Okay. It's been a strong partnership between the university and the JPA, so I'm grateful for that. Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried, 3-0. The next item is bill number WH 23-22, resolution authorizing the chairperson and/or purchasing agent to enter into a contract or issue a purchase order to the lowest responsible bidder for the purchase of food and beverage equipment for the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a sum not to exceed $62,922.22.
This is pretty standard. Again, we've got equipment starting to break down and reach end of life. And so there was a bidding process. Sam Tell and Son was lowest bidder. So at this point, I would ask, probably don't have a lot of information on the specifics of the equipment in and of itself. I don't know if there's anybody. Tim Savona is here, could answer those questions if you have any. Otherwise, if there's any questions I can answer, I'll be happy to do so.
Any questions? No? Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to comment on item 10? All right, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move approval?
Second.
Moved by Beckius, second by Claire. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried, 3-0. Next item is bill number WH 23-23, resolution to approve the letter agreement to engage Forvis to perform an audit of the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency financial statements in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards for the year ended August 31st, 2023.
And good afternoon again. Just wanted to present this for the board's approval. This is our annual letter agreement with Forvis, formerly known as BKD. With me here today is Chris Lindner from Forvis. In the event you have any questions, but this is done under the city's contract with Forvis, and so just wanted to make sure that the JPA as a separate body has the opportunity to approve this engagement as well. So be happy to answer any questions.
No questions from the board.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, take a move approval.
So moved.
Okay.
Second?
Moved by Claire, seconded by Beckius.
Say that again.
Any further discussion?
Again, it's been a great partnership.
Okay, thank you. Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried, 3-0. The next item is bill number WH 23-24, resolution to authorize the chair to negotiate with Charter Communications Operating LLC DBA Spectrum a right of entry agreement to enter upon property located near the Pinnacle Bank Arena to install new equipment for video at Pinnacle Bank Arena and to authorize the chair to execute said right of entry agreement.
Spectrum notified us a couple weeks ago they needed to get into the building to put in some additional fiber and maybe some additional equipment to be able to operate video services. And so they said that they needed a right of entry. We said, why? And they just said, well, this is the way we do business, basically. So there wasn't really enough time to negotiate a right of entry. And so I have their form. We want to change it. We want to use our form, that kind of thing. And so we started working on that, but it wasn't going to be done in time to get this done. They needed to have it completed by the end of September so that they can start doing basketball games. And since we weren't going to have another meeting until December, we thought that it might be better to set it up this way and allow the chair to execute the right of entry after it's been negotiated. And so we don't have a document here for you this time, but that's the plan here. So I don't know if there's any questions.
No.
We could call a special meeting, just saying, if you don't like this idea. But if you don't want an extra meeting, okay, thank you. Would anyone like to testify on this item? Just saying. We have options. Okay, seeing none, would you entertain a motion on item 12?
Move to authorize the resolution.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Any further discussion? All right. Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried, 3-0. The next meeting date will be Friday, December 15th, 2023 at 10 a.m. here in council chambers.
And now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire.
That was slow.
Call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.